Hey everyone, and welcome to the Zen Planner webinar, 5 features you can be using to raise your revenue in Zen Planner. My name is Austin Bondison. I'm the Customer Engagement Manager here at Zen Planner. We're going to be going through 5 features that you can be using to raise your revenue. So things that can take a look at how much you're bringing in now, as well as where some gaps may lie, and ways to not only retain your members, but also to bring in new members and get prospects in the door. So these 5 features, we're going to be going into a good amount of depth as far as what each one entails, how to set it up, all of that. A few of them do have separate webinars that go a lot more in depth for each one, and I'll be sending those webinars out in my follow-up email. So we'll be going over kind of which ones have that more in-depth aspect to them in another webinar. And you'll be receiving not only a copy of the recording of this webinar, but a recording of those webinars as well. So if there's something that you don't necessarily need to know about because you've got all of that set up, you can skip over that one. But if there's something you want to know a lot more about, you can go ahead and watch that webinar as well. Again, this is being recorded, so if at any point you need to step out, you certainly can, and you'll be receiving a copy of this via email. During the webinar, you can be asking questions. In the GoToWebinar question functionality, I have Mike here, one of our onboarding coaches, answering questions for you, so throw those out. He'll be able to get you some answers, and if not, you can always call our support team if you have answers, or questions rather, after the webinar is over, or more in-depth questions on how to build certain reports or automations or what have you. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to switch to my screen here. And we're going to be logging into my database. Cool, so everyone should be able to see my screen here. I'm going to log into my database. And the first feature that we're going to be looking at to raise our revenue is reporting. And this isn't going to so much raise your revenue as identify gaps in where you might be missing revenue or where you have other aspects of your business that you can be promoting through looking at these reports and seeing kind of where your money's coming from, how many prospects you have, if you're missing people's payments, all that kind of thing. So this is going to be our first step, is identifying where there are gaps that you could be making up for through some of the other features we're going to discuss. So all of the reports are going to be listed under dashboard here when you pull up your database and log in. We're going to see a lot of saved reports along the side here, as well as new reports up top, so we can make any report we need to. But for now, let's take a look at some of the saved reports that I like to call out kind of in this look at how much we're making, where we could be making up some money, all of that. So we're going to click on finances. One of the main reports that I like to call out here is your missed bills, so failed payments. This is going to show you all of the payments that haven't gone through. I don't have any since this is a test database, but it's going to show you payments that haven't gone through. And ideally, your report, when you pull it, looks just like this. You don't have any failed payments going through because you have members whose credit cards are active and not expired. You have people who are making their payments on time, and there's no issue with their payments. So this is an ideal screen, actually. Otherwise, you're going to see how many people have failed payments because of a credit card being expired or not going through due to insufficient funds, and you'll be able to click into each one and see kind of the reason as to why. But the reason this is important is because this is money that you're missing out on for whatever reason. If your member has a card that's expired and their payment hasn't gone through, you need to make sure that they're updating that and they know that their credit card payment didn't go through and they're not trying to attend classes without their payments going through. So when we get into our second feature, which is automations, that's where we're going to see how we can fix this problem, if there are quite a few payments that have failed here, we can turn on an automation to make sure that these members from here on out, if their payment fails, they know about it as soon as it happens, and you know about it as soon as it happens. So in that sense, this is kind of your guaranteed revenue that you're generating, but you want to make sure you're not missing out just because a member's card didn't go through. We also have a report here under Finances for unpaid bills. So we're going to click on that here. And this is the same thing. We're seeing who has not paid their bill. That's kind of another guaranteed revenue that you should be generating because these people should be paying their bills, but you can figure out who isn't paying their bills and then identify why that might be. Do they not have a credit card on file? Are they paying in cash? You need to make sure that you're recording these payments in Zen Planner, even if they are cash payments or check payments, and that these unpaid bills are getting paid. So again, you're identifying where you're missing payments and making sure that they're being paid on time and in the month that they're supposed to be paid. Now, we can also, in this same aspect, if we see a lot of people who don't have auto pay on, if we go into onboarding resources, we can click into one of these two reports here, the first one being auto pay missing. And auto pay is a way to ensure that you're getting your payments on time every month. The members aren't forgetting because that money is coming out automatically. So if you aren't using auto pay currently, or you have a lot of members who aren't on auto pay, make sure that you start to utilize that feature, because that's going to be a lot of missed revenue as well if people aren't paying their bills through auto pay, or if they forget to pay their bill, which is what that last report just kind of identified for us. The auto pay missing feature says that all of these members do not have a credit card on file with you. Again, there could be a reason as to why that is. Maybe they pay with cash, maybe they pay with check, but ideally, again, you're having your members pay with a credit card through auto pay. Now, you're going to see a bunch of the same names over and over again. That's because John here has 3 different memberships. These 2 are the same one, but he has 3 on his account. As soon as we go into his account and add a credit card to his profile here, all 3 of those are going to disappear from this list. So all 3 of those entries we just saw are going to go away. They're going to move to the second list we are going to look at here. But that's basically saying that for all of those memberships, there's no credit card on file. So that's why you're probably seeing the same person 3 times. Now we're going to click back into onboarding resources. We just covered auto pay missing, again, meaning they do not have credit card on file. And then we can step into auto pay ready to activate. So if we go into John Grisham's profile, we add a credit card to his account, but we don't turn on auto pay, then he moves into auto pay ready to activate. And it looks like I have Richard Adams in that same category where he has a credit card on file, but he does not have auto pay turned on. And that's the second step to making sure that we aren't missing any sort of payments from Richard just because he forgets to go online and pay, or he forgets to stop in. We want to make sure we're not missing out on that revenue. So we're going to click into Richard Adams. We can see that his credit card light here is green, and we can click into that and we can turn auto pay on for him next to his membership. So we're going to click onto auto payments. We're going to select the account on his file and save changes. Now it states that auto payments are yes, using the account that we have on file for Richard. Now that's important because we want to make sure, again, that we're not missing any payments from him. If he does have multiple memberships like John did, we want to turn auto pay on for all of those memberships, whether one's, classes and then one's appointments, however that may look. People often do have multiple memberships attached to their name, and we want to make sure that auto pay is turned on for all of them. So in that same instance with John, if we added a card to his account, he would move from auto pay missing to auto pay ready to activate. Those 3 memberships would be there, and we want to make sure we turn on all 3 of those memberships. So we've only done it for 1 here for Richard, so that's why we're seeing a few more. That's important, again, to make sure that you're not missing out on any revenue that you should be getting. Now, we also have the dashboard that has some of our saved reports on it. You can customize your dashboard right over here to kind of bring up the most important reports right on your front screen. Make sure that they're being utilized and viewed every day. Again, the reporting webinar that I'll send out is going to go into how to customize the dashboard, as well as what these little colors over here mean. And if you want to really get into reporting, definitely watch that. But one that I like to call out on the dashboard is payments or the amount due in the next 30 days. This is important because it kind of shows the income category here and can let you know where you're missing potential revenue. So what we see here is a lot of class tuition payments. That means people are paying their regular memberships. That's kind of how I have mine set up, is if they have a membership that allows them into classes, that income is going into class tuition. But what I can also see here is that I have a personal training program, and in the next 30 days, I'm only getting 1 payment for my personal training membership. So that's a way to kind of identify what you might need to market in your business, or what you might need to push forward a little bit. I have all of these members who could benefit from personal training, and I can benefit from that increased revenue. So it's a way to market your services that maybe people aren't using as much to members that you already have. So they're already coming to your classes, they already know that they like your gym. Why not bump them into a personal training session, maybe even just 1, so that they can kind of have some one-on-one time to understand what they need to do to reach their goals. So this is a way to easily look at kind of where you're missing some money, or where you could be promoting yourself and your business to current members or even potential prospects in a way that you haven't been so far. So like I said, I'm getting a lot of money from my classes, that's great, but I also have this personal training aspect of my business that isn't getting as much attention. So it's a way to kind of look at the money you're making either in the future or in the past, and make sure that you're also making some money from some other aspects of your business. One other little area I like to show is prospects. And we're going to go into this, like kind of what prospects are in the system, the prospect funnel. We're going to be looking at a lot of that stuff here in a minute as another one of the features that can increase your revenue. But this is just a way to kind of see who's on your prospect list and what you can do to reach out to them. Make sure that you're getting them into the building, whether it's for a free trial, a class, a paid drop-in maybe, or a membership. We're also going to be looking at people and the prospects list here in a little more detail in just a second. But one other thing I want to show within reporting, and this is covered in the reporting webinar, but just how to build and save a report. So like I said, we have this new report feature. If there's something that you're not seeing or something you want to be seeing in the system, you can click New Report. We have a bunch of different topics that you can choose from to build your report out on. But let's say I want to build a payments report. Or actually, since this is a fake database, let's go ahead and do a bills one. There's plenty of those in here. And we can choose to kind of customize it however we want. We can say we want it to be due in the last 30 days. The bill type is a bill here, meaning it's not a balance on their account. And then we can say status is unpaid. You know, whatever aspect or criteria we want to narrow this down by, we can do here. And then what we can do is to save the report, name it, whatever you need to name it. So let's say unpaid bills last 30 days. And then the best feature is the ability to create your own folders. So we have all of these folders over here on the left, but maybe there are reports from all different types that you want to be checking either every day or every week or what have you. We can create a new category and name it whatever we need to name it, save changes, and now we're going to have that over here on the left-hand side. So we can click into Austin's reports, see that report I just created and saved, click into it, see that information, and edit the report if I need to up here. So even if you have one that's already built out that you really like using, like in our finances, let's say expiring credit cards or what have you, you can resave that into your own folder to make sure that you're quickly pulling that up. You're not always searching for it every time you log in. And again, this can be, there can be a finance finance report in here, an attendance report, anything that you need to do to just make that folder comprehensive for you and whatever you need to be checking every day or every week or what have you. So that's going to cover reporting and how you can kind of take a look at it to see not only the revenue that you're missing out on, but also potential revenue that you can be bringing into your business through other aspects of your business or promoting different aspects of your business to current members or what have you. Again, I'll be sending out the reporting webinar in the follow-up email. So if you have a lot of questions about how to pull a specific report or what other things reports can do, it's all included in that webinar. So you'll be able to kind of watch that and see. Don't forget you can ask questions in the GoToWebinar functionality, question functionality here. So feel free to ask those and you'll get some live answers from Mike over here. Now, the second feature I want to point out here is another one of Zen Planner's most powerful features, and that's automations. And that kind of goes hand in hand with reports because, like I said, if you see that you have unpaid bills or credit cards that are expiring or people whose payments have failed, those can go hand in hand with automations to make sure that those people, as well as your staff members, are being notified when that happens and when you miss out on revenue, to make sure that you're getting that revenue, capturing it, or in some way promoting your business. So if we click into setup, we can scroll down to the communication section here and click on automations. Now, I have a lot of automations already set up. They are listed under my automations, and what that means is that all of these automations here I've in some way edited or turned on or what have you. I have some that are not turned on as indicated by the red light here, but I've edited this automation in some way that has brought it up from the preset automations below, which is where they all begin, into my actual automations here. So like I just said, the preset automations is where everything begins. They're all built out here. They cover almost every aspect of when you would want an automatic email to be sent out. So you can look through, see what's important, see kind of like what you want your members to be notified of, because while you definitely want your members to be aware of, like I said, failed payments or their credit cards expiring, you definitely don't want to blow them up with a bunch of emails through the automations. So turn on what's important. Don't feel crazy if you have a bunch on like I do, because a lot of these only go out once in a blue moon or once in their lifetime with you. Like I have 4 new member emails right here that go out once they start. There's the 1 week, 2 week, 4 week, and 6 week. They get those once in their entire time with you as a gym member. So it's not like this is going to each be sending out an email every week by any means. So just keep in mind that it may look like a lot here, but these people may not be getting blown up with emails from you. So some that I really like to point out are billing here. These are the most important as far as revenue is concerned, because again, you want to make sure that all of the revenue you're expecting, you're actually also receiving. So let's take a look at one of these billing automations and how it's set up to look at kind of the basic structure of an automation and how it can be built out and turned on. So with all of these automations, you're going to see 4 different categories here, 4 different sections. The first one being, what is going to actually trigger this automation? What is going to make this automation send out to someone? And for this one specifically, it states that the payment type doesn't matter, whether it's automated, online, offline, or self-pay. That's irrelevant. It's going to be for any one of those. So if you do see something blank, which you will see quite a bit, it just means it's bypassing that. It's not narrowing it down any. Now for this one, we're doing credit card only, like the heading here says. So for the payment method, we're going to choose credit card. And then for the payment status, we're going to choose declined or error. So basically, any time that somebody uses a credit card and they get a decline or an error, they're going to get this email. Number 2 is when. And so with this one, we want them to know that immediately. So we're going to set 0 days after the payment date. So let's say they're turned on auto pay like they should be, and their credit card doesn't go through as it's run overnight for the next day, and they automatically get this email immediately when it happens. So that's something that we don't need them to know that 1 day later or 2 days later. We want to make sure that they know right when it happens that their payment did not go through. So you can certainly customize these as you need, but for this one specifically, we definitely want them to know immediately. Number 3 is, what does that message actually look like and how does it read? And I'll show you that here in just a second. But number 4 is kind of the categorization of this. So we can see it's pulling from a payments report, meaning it's getting the information from payments rather than like memberships. It doesn't really matter what membership they have. It's any payment that's going through, or rather not going through. We can choose the automation name here. We can change that if we need to. And then it's in the billing category since it is a billing related automation. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click on Open Message Template Editor to see how this email actually reads. So we'll click onto that. You'll notice we're now in document templates rather than automations. We've been bumped over here. This is where all of the templates lie that connect to your automations. And we can see what that email says. So it's going to fill in these tags for you automatically. It's going to say, Austin, we had a problem with your payment. Hi, Austin, I was unable to process payment today for this amount for your bill due on this date. Again, this is all filled in by the person that has a failed payment, the date, the amount. All of that is going to be filled in for you. It's also going to fill in your signature, so you don't necessarily need to type that in. It's using the term school here to show in your business info who's listed as the owner, the school name, and the email. That's all going to be basically what we're going to see here is Austin Bondison, CrossFit in the Rye, and then Austin at CrossFitInTheRye.com. So that's all going to be filled in for you. You'll also notice it's going to the primary email of the person whose card failed, letting them know that it did. And then it's also BCCing the school. So you're going to receive a copy of this email because you want to know when someone's credit card information or credit card payment doesn't go through. You want to know as well as them knowing so that you're both on the same page and you can either follow up with that person or make sure they make their payment when they come in the next time or what have you. Ideally, they're being alerted and going online and paying that with maybe a different form of payment or just trying it again or what have you. But you also want to know that information so that you can follow up with them. But this is one thing that's going to diminish that report we looked at where you have a bunch of failed payments in the past. This is going to take care of making sure that that list does not build up and that you're missing out on a bunch of payments you should be receiving. So what we can do, if we've made any changes here, we can save them. We can click back into our automations. We'll click back into the failed payments for the credit card, and then we'll check the box to activate and save changes. So now that is live, good to go. Anyone whose credit card fails in the future is going to receive that email. Again, automations are covered in a webinar, so I'll be sending that out. It goes through kind of a lot more of these other ones, but that's kind of one of the big billing ones that you need to be making sure you're not missing out on revenue. Other than that, we're going to, one other thing I actually want to say about automations. This is some research that one of my coworkers did here, just kind of pointing to the fact that you can use automations in such a way that it does increase your revenue. He took a look at all of the databases that we had at the time and saw how many automations were turned on per person, as well as how much their revenue changed because of that. So these people had 1 to 5 automations turned on in Zen Planner and saw a 27% increase in revenue. So you can just kind of see on this graph how much that affects your business. Again, because you're letting people know, hey, you haven't used, or you haven't made a payment, your card didn't go through, whatever, and you're getting that revenue back, the revenue you should be getting. But it's also marketing your business. So you can see some marketing automations here that are either to current members or to prospects that can be making sure you're bringing in new people, retaining current members, and increasing your revenue. That's another webinar that we did a couple months ago on how you can use these automations to market your business, retain your members, and therefore increase your revenue. So I'll be sending that one out as well. But this is another huge feature to make sure that you're not missing out on revenue, you're bringing in more people, and thereby increasing your revenue. The third feature is another one we have covered, but it's very important to getting people in the door, making sure that you're making new members, and that is the prospect funnel. So that is in automations right here, and we're going to go over those automations really quickly. But before we do that, I want to take a look at setting up the base of your prospect funnel. So in order to do that, we are going to click on Lookup Codes under Setup, and we're going to see our prospect statuses. So this is how people move through our system once we've gotten their information, whether they checked out our website and filled out a form, or walked in, or whatever that is, however they got into our system. This is how they move through it once they become a prospect. And they're going to receive 3 calls, unless, of course, they answer and set up an appointment or a free trial or what have you. And then there's like appointment missed, appointment completed, signed up, or not interested to kind of get them out of our prospect status. Now, these are the first step to setting up your prospect funnel because you need to know how they move through the system. So I would say to replicate something very similar to this, and you could even go into yours and add the labels here to look exactly like this. But basically, this is how they move through our system, like I said. Now, I referenced earlier prospects under people here, and if we click on people and click on prospects, we can see all of their statuses here. We can also see in the left-hand column prospects by status. So these new prospects, which I don't have any of, are going to be people who have just filled out a form online or just walked into the building and you haven't given them a call to follow up or what have you. Then we have our call 1 people, our call 2 people, and they're organized in this way so that we can continuously follow up with them until they become a student, or in some way suggest that they're not interested in any way. You know, we want to make sure either they're becoming a member with us or just getting out of our prospect system because they have given you a hard decline. So we can see, again, everyone by their status here. And when we go into their profile, let's say we call Richard Bachman, and this is his 3rd call, because right now he's missed his 2nd call. We've given him 2 calls, and this is his 3rd. And let's say he answers and he says, yeah, I actually was really interested in finding out more. Can I set up a free trial? So we set him up for free trial, get him into a class, and we switch him as his prospect status to trial appointment scheduled. So we've at least scheduled his appointment, and when he shows up, we can switch him over to completed. After that, ideally, he likes the gym so much that he becomes a member and is then a student in the system, and we can switch him to signed up. His prospect status at that point isn't super important because he's now listed as a student, but we still want to make sure that we're grouping him into the right category of prospect status here. But basically, let's switch him back to appointment scheduled. And now we can see, when we go down there, to see these 3 people here have set up their appointments or free trials. So again, first step is setting up your prospect statuses. Second step is grouping people into those statuses. They're all going to start as new prospects. From there on, you're going to see them move through the funnel that we've created. Now, I do see one question here about a dated prospect list. You can absolutely, it just depends what you want to do with that. If you have a bunch of people who, for whatever reason, you are not interested in calling anymore, or like you don't think are going to become members and they're from years ago or what have you, you can absolutely delete that list and delete those people. But just make sure that they're not people you actually do want to be reaching out to in some way, whether that's like, hey, remember, when you signed up for this class, or maybe you're offering a special or something like that. Just make sure before you do that, since it is permanent, that you actually want them out of your system. And then you can, yes, absolutely start fresh with this. You could also create a prospect status that is like old prospects, if you don't mind them being in your system, but you don't really want to be reaching out to them, and you could bulk add them to that list. So what that would look like is maybe you have a bunch of these people in one status. You can select them all, batch update, and like I said, delete checked people is an option here. But the other thing you could do is go into their prospect info here, switch them over to this like dated prospects list or old prospects or what have you. So either way you want to go about that, but that is definitely a way of taking care of those, because I totally get starting fresh, and making sure that these people are moving through the system without being super, out of touch with why you're contacting them. So now that we've looked at how they filter through the system, we can click into setup and take a look at our automations that are kind of going to be moving them through the system. So when we click into automations, we can see the prospect funnel here. And this is set up in everyone's database, so you won't have to build these out. But basically, it kind of moves them through the statuses that we have set and reminds staff to give people calls. So what we're going to see here is first the call one voicemail prospect, which says that as soon as this person, let's say this person is a brand new prospect, You give them a phone call, they don't answer. You leave a voicemail. What this automation is going to do once you move them into that call one voicemail status is to send out this email to them that is blank, but yours will have information. And it basically says, hey, we just gave you a call, wanted to see if you were interested. Please let me know if you'd like to find out more information. So it's an email follow-up as soon as you've given them that call and moved them into a new prospect status. So it's just a way of reaching out to them in two different ways in case maybe they were too busy to answer their phone, but they have time to check their email. And then the second automation is going to alert your staff members in 2 days to call them back. And so what that looks like is, again, their prospect status is call one, no answer. 2 days after you've moved them into this field, your staff member is going to receive this automation. And again, if we open it, we can see this is listed as a staff task rather than any sort of email. You can certainly make it into an email that goes to the staff member, but right now it's adding a task to their Zen Planner account. And it's going to say, please call this person. They didn't respond to the first voice message. And just remind them, hey, you've got to call this person so that you can follow up. You don't want these people, again, slipping through the cracks. And maybe there is a point where they say they're not interested. But until then, you want to make sure that they're reminded that they in some way engaged with your business and want more information from you. So again, this is going to remind your staff member, hey, this person is interested. Make sure you give them a call back. And it's going to go to whoever you want it to. It could be their sales representative if you have those listed. Or like in this instance, I would say that Richard is doing all of the second calls. And then maybe for the third calls, I have all of those going to Kurt here. So it's just kind of a way to divide those so that it doesn't all fall on one person. And so that different people are reaching out to this person to make sure that they're, either not interested or get them into a program that works for them. So that's basically what these automations are going through all the way until they actually, set up a free trial and therefore sign up for a membership or what have you. But all of these are set up in your database. And again, you can move people through those prospect statuses as these automations fire out. The prospect funnel is another webinar that I'll be sending out. So if you're more interested in the details of that, that basically covers it. But if you want to see a little bit more in depth how those work, absolutely watch that webinar and see how to set that up, kind of follow through with setting each one up as you go. So that is our third feature. For our fourth feature, we're going to be looking at our widgets. And the widget that we have is listed here under My Widgets, under Setup. And this is a lead capture widget. So this is ideally how we're getting those prospects into our system in the first place. We saw the new prospect status that then moves them through the system. How are they getting into that new prospect status? Most likely, that's through a widget. So when we look at the ones that I have built out here, we can see the functionality of the widget, how it appears, where it puts them, what area or what prospect status it puts them into. So we can see right here that they're being put into the new prospect status, thereby starting that prospect funnel. But we can also kind of organize it by the program they're looking at, the source they're coming from. We can kind of base it on where on your website you have that embedded. In order to embed this, you're going to click on Display Code, and you're going to copy and paste this into the HTML of your website. That's something, if you're not building out your own website, you'll want to send over to the person who does. We also do offer website services. That's a fairly new feature for us. and we have quite a few customers using our websites. The ones we're going to look at here in just a second are our websites. But if you want to find out more about that, just enter your information into the question field here. We'll be able to reach out to you, show you what those look like, because then we'll take care of all of this for you, as well as a bunch of other things that we offer. But what that's going to look like once it's embedded, again, this is one of our websites here, is for this one, actually, let's move over to this one. Let's do here. So under Contact Us, this request info form is exactly what we were just looking at as a website widget. This is how it looks embedded into the site. And the person on our team that built out this website has made it fit right into their website. Looks flawless, doesn't look like it's a piece of a different software. But what this does is as soon as somebody enters their information here and clicks request info, they are input into the Zen Planner database right into prospects here. So as soon as somebody fills that out, this email, or rather their email and phone number, whatever information we're asking for, is put into the prospect's status here as a new prospect. So that's kickstarting the prospect funnel. That's going to send an email to staff that says, hey, somebody just filled out that form, make sure you follow up. Then they get the call one, voicemail, automation, however that journey looks for them, that's where it starts. So we can also see other ways of adding this into our account. As you know, people can sign up for free trials through Zen Planner. But another way of, rather than having them actually go online and sign up, that might be too much of a commitment for them to pick an exact date and time online without even speaking to anyone. This website has that same form embedded into the Get Your Free Week. So they're not signing up for a membership right now, but they're going to click Get Your Free Week and fill out that same exact form that doesn't actually sign them up for a free week, but it lets your staff know that they're interested in a free week. So how that would look in our system and through our widget, if we went into Setup and scrolled down to our widgets, we could add a new widget that puts them into however we want to diversify that person by saying that they're actually interested in a free week rather than just sending some information in. So what we could say is the source here, rather than being website request info, could be website free trial. So that when you call them, you're saying, hey, I saw you wanted to start a free week with us. When do you want to start that? Let's get you booked for your first class. So it's a way to engage with them rather than just having them sign up for a membership and then never showing up. Definitely a good way of doing that. You can add as many widgets as you need to here. Like it says, I have 3 right now. These could be at different places on my website, funneling them into different spots. And again, this is covered more extensively in the Prospect Funnel webinar. So, and if you have questions about these and how they work, definitely reach out to our support team. But this is how you can kind of get people who are viewing your website into your building, whether it's through just some information they send or they're interested in a free trial or a free week or what have you. It's a good way to capture that information, turn that person into a prospect, get them through the prospect funnel. All right. Number 5. This is very much off the course of the 4 things we've been talking about so far, but one other way to increase your revenue through Zen Planner is in retail. And that's just something that a lot of people don't even know that Zen Planner does, even though it's listed here on the side, or maybe they run their retail through something else and it's not integrated into Zen Planner as it probably should be, just so you have everything in one place in all your reports. So for retail, you've got people coming into your business who either need products for their workout, like water, protein shakes, what have you. If you're not selling those and you have the capacity to and the space to, definitely be doing that just to increase your revenue by that much more every month. But also people who are invested in your business want to buy your merchandise. You know, they're proud of the CrossFit gym or the martial arts school that they go to, and they want to show that through the t-shirts that they wear or the hat that they wear, or the water bottle they carry around. So kind of identify what you want or what your members would like, even by taking a poll of like, what would you guys buy? Would you buy a t-shirt? Would you buy a water bottle? A towel maybe? And then find a way to get that and sell it through Zen Planner. So whatever distributor you're using, make sure you're getting a good price and selling it for a fair price to your members and doing that through Zen Planner. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at our product catalog here, and we're going to add a product. We can choose the name of the product. So let's go ahead and say CrossFit in the Ride branded towel. We can upload an image once we have that product and we can know what it looks like. We can choose the category it's in. I'm just I'll add another item. Branded items. Subcategory if we need to. And then the income category is retail sales. So again, those reports, if you're not seeing enough retail sales and you want to be seeing more, definitely amp up your retail offerings in Zen Planner. And then this is saying whether you want it on your quick list, aka is it an item that you sell fairly often? And that's going to appear immediately when you click on retail. As well as the price. So let's say this is a $20, that seems expensive, a $10 towel, as well as the wholesale price. We're buying these for $2.50 from our distributor. So you can apply taxes here. You can choose where you want to show it and how. Basically, that means, do you want people ordering this online or through a kiosk at your gym? Or do you only want your staff members to be able to sell that? The thing about selling online is you may need a shipping option in order to get that to people if they can't come by. But regardless, you do have the option to sell it in your retail store through either Studio here or your staff app. You can also track inventory here by choosing how many products you have on hand, as well as when you should be alerted that you need to purchase more. And you can use multiple options as well. This is important for mostly things like t-shirts, where you're saying we have a bunch of different options where we have a small and we have 5 of those. I need to reorder it 2. We also have medium. It costs the same. We've got 7 of those and we need to reorder it 3 since they're fairly popular. You know, and you can build out those options, whether it's different colors, different flavors of a protein shake, different sizes, what have you. So definitely fill that out as needed. You'll need to click and make sure they're active or else they won't appear. And we can save changes. And now we can see that. I don't think I added it to the quick list, but if we go into our product catalog, show this product on our quick list, and see that here and choose the quantity, or rather the option that we're doing. But retail is another thing that, again, if you're not using, you certainly should be to bring in more revenue. And same with gift cards. That's a whole nother topic here. But you do have the ability to offer gift cards to bring in more revenue, things that people can give away for the holidays or as a birthday present or what have you. Those year-round can be sold to kind of not only promote your business, but also just get more revenue in the door. So retail is a huge part of that. Again, another webinar if you're more interested in the retail aspect of things and how you can use that to promote your business, as well as kind of put all your products in one place rather than having them outside of Zen Planner. But that wraps up the 5 items that I wanted to show you as far as features. I'm going to make sure we don't have any huge questions, and then we can wrap up. Cool. Looks like y'all are good to go. Again, reach out to support if you have any follow-up questions. I'm going to be sending my follow-up email here shortly with the recording of this webinar, the automations webinar, prospect funnel webinar that includes widgets, and retail. So those, and reporting. So those 4 webinars will be included if you really want to deep dive into one of the other topics. But those 5 items should help you to increase your revenue this year. Hopefully 2019 looks much better for you and you have a good increase in revenue over the year. All right, y'all enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be back in about 2 weeks with another webinar on tax reporting.